I've been studying, I'm an environmental lawyer, I've been studying fracking for well over 3 years. I've advised Tully and DeWitt and Manlius, the city of Syracuse, on their moratoriums and ban. And I'm really familiar, very familiar with the lawsuits that have been brought against the towns that have banned this. I've heard the arguments, I've looked at the briefs. Clearly, towns have the right to protect your citizens using the police power in your home rule. The gas companies are trying to intimidate towns with the lawsuits, but most lawyers, I would say, very strongly are in favor or objectively evaluate that towns have the right to do what you're trying to start to do here. I've looked at your law, it's very well drafted, carefully worded, in terms of what the companies might look to do later on down the road. It's a very wise and safe approach to go with a moratorium. That's how DeWitt started, that's how Tully started. Tully just extended our moratorium. It gives towns, first of all, we're going to get rulings in those 2 lawsuits that will affirm the towns, that's my prediction, affirm the towns' right to use zoning power. Otherwise, you can put a compressor. Pennsylvania's going through this right now, where they're trying to run pipelines where the companies want, right next to schools, they're going to have compressor stations. And if towns don't have home rule, that's what happens. It also gives you, the board, to learn more. It gives the citizens, although this is an amazingly well-educated crowd, it's really very gratifying to hear how well people have become versed in this issue that none of us knew about 3 or 4 years ago. And it's completely safe. No town has ever been challenged in court over a moratorium. So it's a very safe, cautious, proper way to proceed. And that's really why people ask me to come over just to give that free legal advice. We know but there's a couple of other issues about fracking that I speak about sometimes. First of all, I've become an expert in leases and whether or not people are able to get out of their leases. Chesapeake is really bullying people to try to extend them. Every lease I've looked at is now between 300 and 400 allows the storage of gas underground. How many of us want gas in large volumes stored underneath our town? Every lease I've seen has that. Watkins Glen is now fighting a huge propane storage, underground storage facility. So that's one thing that people lose track of. The compressor stations that have to go with those pipelines have caused massive air pollution to other communities. And air pollution is a major issue that people don't talk about as much as water pollution. The other thing that we really need to understand is that we're told we need to think about energy independence and gas will make us energy independent. That's not what's going to happen with this gas. Chesapeake, who's the major leaser, at least in Portland and Onondaga County that I'm most familiar with, has already sold 1/3 of their interest in every lease to a Norwegian company. They sold all of their interest in the shale in Arkansas to an Australian company, and they're now bragging to their investors that their cure for the cheap gas, because it's too inexpensive now because they've drilled so much, is to ship it overseas where they can make twice as much. It's not about energy independence, it's about Exxon and Chesapeake making profits. And we've already reflected that the DEC is abysmally understaffed to do this. The union says that. There's only 17 people in the mineral section. They need at least 230. Even DEC is telling the governor, we need more people. We cannot regulate this process. So I think that the town would be very wise to move ahead with this moratorium, see what is learned in the next year, and I appreciate your listening to me. Thank you.